Before adding the beam and ply deck, we need to make sure that the various parts and pieces are already in our material master. In this case, we have the plywood deck, the beam and the U-heads, along with the relevant part numbers which will show up in our bill of materials. First, select the bay, and in bay details go into verticals, and in the header type change to U-head jacks. In the general tab, make a note of our top elevation, as this will be used to place our beam. As you can see now, our U-heads have now been added. To create the beam, go into our stencil and drag a beam onto the drawing. Change the section type to an I-beam. Type in the relevant length. In this case, we're going to use 8 foot. Add the section width and also the section height. Change the justification to the underside of the beam, so the bottom setting. Add the part number. This is the same as what is in our material master. And finally, enter the reference elevation, which is the same as the top elevation we found out a few minutes ago. Once these are all entered, move the beam into position. And in our model view, you will now see our beam sits on top of the U-heads. To create the second beam, press Ctrl on the keyboard and copy the first beam. Drag it into position. And now we can see our two beams in the model. To create the ply deck, drag another beam onto the drawing. In our shape data, we can leave this set to a box. The length will be the length of the ply sheet, and in this case is 8 foot again. The width is the width of the sheet, and the section height is the thickness of the sheet. Once more, we can set the justification to the bottom, put in the relevant part number as per the material master. This will show up in the bill of materials, and finally enter the reference elevation, which is now the top of the I-beam. Once the settings have been entered, we can simply grab the deck and drop it onto the top of our beams, as you can see in the model view. Finally, it may be that you require the deck to be a different colour from the rest of the model. To do this, right click on it and use the Format Shape option. Hit the Fill option and then simply change the colour to the colour which you require. By doing this, we can now see our deck is now a different colour from the beams. In the bill of materials, you will also notice that our beam is shown now, along with the U-head jack and our plywood deck.